Welcome back to the lecture series on employee relations and labor laws. Good morning everyone, I am Dr. Kokila Saxena from JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida. Today we will discuss about the Contract Labour Act, Abolition and Regulative Act. Now basically this act is to prevent exploitation of contract labour and also to introduce better conditions of work for the contract labour. Also to do away with the abuse of the system of employment of contract labour, and it extends to the whole of India. Now, the applicability of this act is to every establishment in which 20 or more workmen are employed or were employed in any day of the preceding 12 months as a contract labour. Also to every contractor who employs or who employed in any day of the preceding 12 months 20 or more workmen. But this act does not apply or does not applicable to organizations of intermittent casual nature, who are basically all the organizations having casual workers who are working with casual workers. This act does not apply. Also any organization where work has not been performed for more than 120 days, or all the organizations who are which are having seasonal nature and establishment situated in SEZ. The act does not cover persons employed mainly in managerial and administrative capabilities, persons employed as supervisors drawing wages exceeding 500 rupees per month, or outworkers who are given materials or articles for processing or manufacturing in their own homes or in the premises which are not under the control and management of the principal employer. Now comes the registration of establishments employing contract labour. First is appointment of registering officer. They are appointed by the appropriate government by notification in official gazette and appoint such persons and define the limits within which a registering officer shall exercise the powers conferred on him by or under this act. Now we will discuss about various definition part, various words used in this act. First is contractor. Contractor in relation to an establishment means a person who undertake or who undertake to produce a given result for establishment other than a mere supply of goods or articles for manufacturer to such establishment through contract labour, or who supplies contract labour for any work of the establishment and includes a subcontractor also. Basically, whosoever is supplying labour to the organizations is a contractor, and this also includes subcontractor if any they have been appointed with thee. Now, next is workman. Workman means any person employed in or in connection with the work of an establishment to do any skilled, semi-skilled or unskilled manual, supervisory, technical or clerical work for hire or reward, whether the terms of employment be expressed or implied, but does not include any such person who is employed mainly in a managerial or administrative capacity, or who being employed in a supervisory capacity draws wages exceeding 500 rupees per month, or exercises either by the nature of the duties attached to the officer or by reason of the powers vested in him functions mainly of a managerial nature, or who is an outworker. That is to say, a person whom any articles or materials are given out for the certain processes to return them back. Now, certain authorities under the act. First is advisory board, where advisory boards are basically two kinds of advisory boards are there, central advisory boards and state advisory boards, and they act as per the as per their jurisdiction. Now, central advisory contract labor board is consists of chairman appointed by the central government, one chief labor commissioner and members more than 18, not 11 and not less than 9. Basically, this advisory board consists of a chairperson, a labor commissioner and members, not members more than 18 and not less than 11 and not less than 9. Means members should be minimum maybe more than 11, but sorry, members may be will be more than 18. State advisory contract labor board, which consists of a chairman, labor commissioner or any other person appointed by the government and members more than 11 and not less than 9. Here members will be more than 11 and not less than 9, and in central advisory contract labor board members will be 18 and not less than 11. The act provides that the central and state advisory boards are to be set up to advise on such matters arising out of the administration of the act as may be referred to them and carry out any other functions assigned to them to the appropriate government. Besides the government nominees, the boards have a members representing industry, contracts, workers and other that the government thinks fit. The number of nominees will be equal to that of the industry and contractors. Now, registration of certain establishments. Every principal employer of an establishment to which this act applies shall make an application to the registering officer in the prescribed manner for registration of the establishment. Fee for registration they have to make the payment of the fee, which will be 20 rupees to 500 rupees relating to the number of workmen employed. If the application for registration is complete in all respects, the registering officer shall register the establishment and issue to the principal employer for the establishment a certificate of registration containing such particulars as may be prescribed. Now, revocation of registration. If the registration officer is satisfied that the registration of any establishment has been obtained by misrepresentation or suppression of any material fact, or that of for any other reason the registration has been useless or ineffective. Basically, if the registration officer, registering officer, he has the information that the registration has been obtained by misrepresentation of some facts, then in that case registration can be revoked. Now, effect of non-registration. In case an establishment required to be registered under section 7 is not been registered within the time fixed for the purpose under the section, then punishment will be given as per the act. Now, prohibition of employment of contract labor. The appropriate government may, after consultation with the central board or as the case may be a state board, prohibit by notification in the official gazette employment of contract labor in any process, operation or other work in any establishment. The appropriate government shall have regard to the conditions of work and benefits provided for the contract labor in the establishment and other relevant factors, such as whether the process, operations or other work is incidental to or necessary for the industry, trade, business, manufacture or occupation that is carried on in the establishment, whether it is of perennial nature, that is to say it is of sufficient duration, having regard to the nature of the industry, trade, business, manufacture or occupation that is carried on in that establishment, whether it is done ordinarily through regular workmen in the establishment or an establishment simple thereof. and establishment similar thereof, or whether it is sufficient to employ considerable number of whole time workmen. Now, appointment of licensing officer. Such appointment of licensing officer can be appointed such persons and define the limits within which a licensing officer shall exercise the powers conferred on him by or under this act. Now, next is licensing of contractors. Basically, contractors under this act should also be licensed. Now, license is not transferable. It basically they have to take the license from the authorities and they have to make the payment of prescribed fee, which is rupees 15 to 375 depending upon the number of workmen employed by contractor, and along with security is also deposited. No contractor to whom the act applies can undertake or execute any work through contract labor except under and in accordance with a license issued in that behalf by the licensing officer. Provisions of this act may contain such conditions including hours of work, fixation of wages and all other essential amenities. Now, grant of licenses. Every application for the grant of a license under subsection 1 of section 12 shall be made in the prescribed form and shall contain the particulars such as the licensing officer may make investigation, a license granted shall be valid for a period specified therein, generally 12 months, and may be renewed from time to time. Basically, all the information submitted to for the grant of license will be checked, cross checked by the authorities, and then after investigation the licensing officer will make the investigations and then he will provide the license, and these licenses will be for generally for the 12 months of period, and they have to the contractors they have to get it renewed in every 1 year. Now, revocation, suspension and amendment of licenses. If the licensing officer is satisfied either on a reference made to him in this behalf or otherwise obtained by misrepresentation or suspension of any material fact, fail to comply with the conditions subject to which the license has been granted, the licensing officer may vary or amend a license granted under section 12. He has also the power to forfeit the sum, if any, or any portion thereof deposited as security for the due performance of the conditions subject to which the license was granted. Now, comes the appeals. Now, basically when we talk about any act, when we talk about authorities, when we talk about licenses, we have to go to appeals also. Basically, when there are certain acts and omissions, organizations make so many omissions or they make amendments to the provisions provided by the act as per their own convenience. So, all these things come under the appeals. The aggrieved person may within 30 days from the day on which the order is communicated to him prefer appeal to appellate officer, who shall be a person nominated by the appropriate government for this purpose. Period of 30 days can be extended if there is any sufficient cause. Basically, these days are provided under the Limitation Act provided by the Indian law, and any appeal can be done within the 30 days, and these 30 days can be extended if there is a sufficient cause for which can be justified. Now, basically all these contract labor are provided with certain welfare activities. As we have studied in Factories Act, certain provisions provided for health or safety or welfare of the workmen. Here also certain provisions have been provided for the contract labor. Now, first is canteen. Now, appropriate government may make rules to which the act applies, wherein work requiring employment of contract labor is likely to continue for such period as may be prescribed, and wherein contract labor numbering 100 or more is ordinarily employed by a contractor, one or more canteens shall be provided and maintained by the contractor for the use of such contract labor. Basically, where 100 or more contract labor workmen are employed, canteens should be provided. Without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing power, such rules may provide for the date by which the canteens shall be provided, the number of canteens shall be provided, and the standards in respect of construction, accommodation, furniture and other equipments of the canteens, and the food stuff which may be served therein, and the charges which may be made thereof. So, basically all provisions should be given here on. Now, next is restrooms. This is section 17. In every place wherein contract labor is required to halt at night in connection with the work of an establishment to which the act applies, and in which work requiring employment of contract labor is likely to continue for such period as may be prescribed, the restrooms or the alternative accommodation to be provided under subsection 1 shall be sufficiently lighted and ventilated and shall be maintained in a clean and comfortable condition. Basically, these restrooms are provided for the contract labor in connection to the provisions, whether they if they have to work in the night shifts and if they have to work more than the required hours. So, in that case they can use the restrooms. Now, other facilities may include it shall be a duty of every contractor employing contract labor to provide and maintain a sufficient supply of wholesome drinking water, a sufficient number of urinals situated as to be convenient and accessible to the contract labor, and washing facilities also. Now, next is responsibility for payment of wages. Now, basically when we talk about contract labor, they are also certain they have been given certain rules and regulations in regard to the payment of wages. Now, basically a contractor shall be responsible for the payment of wages of each worker employed by him and shall be paid before the expiry of such period as may be prescribed. We have studied these wage periods under Payment of Wages Act, where this wage period has been decided by the employer and that wage payment should be done within the time limits. Now, we have certain organizations where payments are made on monthly basis. The payment should be made within the before the expiry of the 7th day of the month, where less than 1000 workers have been appointed, and in organizations where more than 1000 workers are working, before the expiry of 10th day the payment should be made. Here also a fixed time should be the period of wage payment should be fixed and payment should be done within the time limit. Now, duty of principal employer. The principal employer shall nominate a representative to be present at the time of disbursement of wages. Shall be the duty of such representative to certify the amounts paid as wages in such manner. Basically, this is this provision is to ensure the payment of wages to contract laborers, because these labor are not on the payrolls of the organizations, and to ensure the payment to these people also the Act has provided this provision. Now, responsibility for the payment of wages. Now, it shall be the duty of the contractor to ensure the disbursement of wages in the presence of authorized representative of the principal employer. Also, in case the contractor fails to make payment to wages within the prescribed period or makes short payment, then the principal employer shall be liable to make payment of wages in full or the unpaid balance due. This is in the case where payment has not been fully done, all payments have not been made to the workers, and he can recover the amount so paid for the contractor either by deduction from any amount payable to the contractor under any contract or as the department as the debt payable by the contractor. Now, next is first aid facilities. This is section 19. There shall be provided and maintained by the contractor so as to be readily accessible during all working hours a first aid box equipped with the prescribed contents as at every place where contract labor is employed by him. Now, basically we have studied this provision also in Factories Act, where all the workers have been provided with the first aid box which is fully equipped, and a person who is responsible, person should be appointed who is responsible and who is well versed with the first aid facilities should be appointed in the factory, and these first aid facilities should be available all the time in the factory. Now, liability of principal employer in certain cases, if any amenity required to be provided for the benefit of the contract labor employed in an establishment is not provided by the contractor within the time prescribed thereof, such amenity shall be provided by the principal employer within such time as may be prescribed, and all expenses incurred by the principal employer in providing the amenity may be recovered by the principal employer from the contractor, either by deduction from any amount payable to the contractor under any contract or as a debt payable by the contractor. Basically, all the amenities should be provided by the employer. This is the duty or liability of the principal employer. This is on the this depends on the principal employer and the contractor, or any understanding between them, how they manage all these facilities. Now, next is inspector. Now, the appropriate government by notification in the official gazette appoints such persons as it thinks fit to be inspectors for the purpose of this act, and define the local limits within which they shall exercise their powers under this act. Now, maintenance of registers and records. Now, basically we have studied in all acts that registers and records have to be maintained and made available to the authorities as and when required, and here also in under this act the authority the employer has a responsibility to maintain records and registers. The registers and records to be maintained and notices to be displayed, and the return to be submitted by the contractor and the principal employer to the registering officer or and licensing officer as explained in the rules of this act by central or state government, as the case may be. Small establishments where they have employed more than 19 and not less than 10 are required to furnish a core return in form A and maintain registers form B, form C and form D. This is about basically small establishments where not more than 19 and not less than 10 people are employed. A very small establishment employing not more than 9 people are required to maintain return in form A and maintain register in form E. Now, obligations of principal employers and contractors. Now, principal employers and contractors, they have to get their establishment registered within with the registering officer appointed by government. If any organization is they are running without registration, those all organizations are illegal organizations. So, they have to get it registered within the time. Also, they have to obtain a license from the licensing authority for employing contract labor and comply with terms and conditions of the grant received. They also have to provide welfare and health facilities as required under the act and its rules. Also, principal employer and contractor, they have to pay wages to workers before the expiry of the wage period, which we have discussed previously. Cooperate with the inspectors in the inspection of premises, documents and records, and examining any person to determine the questions or provisions of the act. Also, they have to maintain the records and registers with such particulars of contract labor as nature of work performed, rate of wages and other information specified in act. Also, they have to exhibit in the premises of the establishment where contract labor is employed a notice showing hours of work, rates of wages, dates of payments of wages, nature of duties and other particulars as mentioned in the Act. Now, basically this is basically to ensure the working hours, the rates of wages paid to them, the payment of wages, duties, nature of duties workers have to perform, all should be mentioned here in the premises. Basically this also ensure the working conditions of workers, their security measures, all these things should be mentioned. Send a half yearly return to the licensing officer and yearly return to the registration officer, and to supply such information and statistics as may be required by the government from time to time. Basically they have to send a half yearly return to licensing officer and yearly return to the registering officer to continue with the registration of their organization. Now, rights of principal employer and contractor. The principal employer and contractor have a right to appeal to the appellate officer against the orders of the registration officer and the licensing officer, either for refusing or revoking registration or license within 30 days of receiving such orders. If they got the orders from registration officer or the licensing officer for the revocation or refusal of the registration, then they can go to the appellate authorities, and by represented by their representatives on the central and state advisory boards. Basically employer and contractors can be representative by their representatives. Now, rights of contract labor. Now, contract labor has a right to claim such working conditions, facilities and other benefits as are provided for under the Act and rules framed thereunder. Now, basically again this is to ensure all the facilities, working condition and benefits to the contract labor. They can be represented by their representatives on the central and state advisory boards. Basically contract labor, they can also send their representatives to the advisory boards, central or state as the case may be, to represent their issues. Now, basically we have studied today about various welfare and health provisions for the contract labor, which provides basically the Act provides that they should be provided with the canteen which is having all the accommodation, furniture, all the facilities, power, water, right. All facilities should be provided in the canteen. Then they have been provided with the restrooms also. Other facilities included supply of wholesome drinking water or urinals or washing facilities to ensure their survival as contract labor. Also they have been provided with the first aid facilities also, which we have studied in Factories Act, that all workers should be provided with the first aid facilities. Now, this is to ensure this the safety of the workmen working within the organization, and this is also provided for the contract labor also. Also they have been provided with the inspectors who take care of all the rights given to the workmen who are on contract within the organization. So, all the inspectors, they have to secure the rights of the workmen working with the organizations. And also the maintenance of registers and records made compulsory under the organization under this Act to provide or to ensure all the facilities, all the measures provided under the Act to secure the people working within the organization, and this can be only ensured when registers and records are maintained with well maintained in the organization. And these all the records and registers can be inspected by the inspectors at any point of time. They can go and inspect any premises or any records, or they can seize any copies or any registers within the organization if they feel so, or they can inquire to any person who they believe that is a worker within the organization, and appropriate that way they have maintained the appropriate facilities within the organization for the contract laborers. Thank you so much.